If you have a team where your goal is to get them to help your business and improve, they have to understand where the end goal is. You can't play a game without understanding how to score. You got to make sure it's a clear structure. And then when you're not scoring, you should be the person that be able to guide them to be, this is how somebody scores. This is the process behind it. Here's what you need to do.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we could discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and in self. Today, we have Dustin Mack joining us from RepCard, a business that is revolutionizing the direct-to-client sales process. His unique CRM is making gathering, storing, connecting, and organizing your leads 100 times easier and more efficient. His extensive background in door-to-door sales and his desire to drive real results for his client is going to lead into an incredible conversation today. Thank you, Dustin, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cal, for having me.
We talked a little bit about your background offline, and you've really gone through the ringer to create not only yourself as a professional, but also an incredible business, multiple businesses now that are really helping entrepreneurs strive to the next level of success in their sales process. Can you dive into a little bit of your background, kind of where you came from, and an understanding of how all of this came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the question. So, man, I always had a knack for talking to people, and I think as a kid, you kind of gravitate to those things that you're naturally good at. So as my friends in high school started going and getting jobs at McDonald's and Wendy's or retail, Buckle, whatever you call it, right back in those early 2000s. I kind of gravitated towards commission only jobs at a really young age, and so I had this guy paying me $100 a set to do refinance mortgages back in the early 2000s, commission only in high school, and got to a point where I started working there and then moved on to an insurance company. And then I sold dietary supplements, but I was always selling over the phone, primarily through high school. Got to a point where I was, making a decent amount of money, working part-time, 60, 70, 80 grand in high school. And I really began to have a love for it and kind of talking later on, but it came kind of natural to me, right? It took my skill sets, and I was blessed with certain things. My mom gave me certain things. She's an incredible salesperson herself. And just the ability to talk to people and connect, was just kind of always there. And I really enjoyed the ability to go and make as much money as I could possibly do it. It all came down to the work ethic and the time I put into it. But I really gravitated towards those commission only jobs that allowed me to use my skill sets that I'd already kind of developed, and really leaned on my talent, not as much by effort at that point in time. But that's kind of how I started off going that route. But I still this day have never had a true hourly job. And it kind of, is who I am. And I really gravitate towards the idea that I can eat what I kill. And my income is limitless based off of what I can do to perform and add value. So.
Absolutely love that. And eat what you kill. There's so many things to unpack there, because I think it's such a lost art in today's world. Is the direct sales, the door-to-door sales, the connection that you get, the authority and the confidence that you get. My wife came from door-to-door sales. She was raised up in Utah. And when she came down here, just the way that she represented herself in a sales position was vastly different than what I could see at other people her age that haven't had to go through those trials and tribulations, because it hurts. Sales hurts, man. Emotionally,
Yeah.
but so how did you progress from, obviously this was a talent of yours, right? How did you change the talent into a business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it took a lot of time. Let me tell you that. And you talk about struggles and going through the hard times. I've never seen so many 6'4", 250-pound grown men on the side of the curb crying, than I have in door-to-door sales. I mean, I recruit these guys, and I would tell them when I recruit them, like, hey, I'm going to find you 2 weeks down the road on the curb crying, calling your mom. Because there's something emotionally, it's not like physically grueling, to go into door-to-door sales, which I went into. I also did a Mormon mission, an LDS mission, when I was 19 years old. Didn't do a lot of door knocking, which is ironic, but, the ability to talk to people. But, it's ironic that we talk about like the heavy labor jobs, right? Going and doing construction, but I think it's so much the mind is it's a muscle itself, and tricking your mind and making these excuses. We live in this paradigm all the time where we're always trying to fight or flight, and you're forced into that all the time in door to door because you're told no a lot, and your brain will play tricks on you and tell you oh, your friends are doing this, or hey, you're tired. You gotta get yourself, I always hear the word like I gotta take a break to reboot. I gotta reboot, right? I have reps do that all the time where it's like, I just gotta take this next week off to reboot. Right. And we constantly get that excuse. And it's them just having a story in their head that's been told to them over and over again. And they've created a habit where they have to have a reboot. It's funny, they never come back more effective. I've had my reboots and you never come back more effective because there's a power in momentum, right? And the ability to kind of grind through it. And habits are not just forming habits and like coming and doing a good thing over and over, like making your bed. Your brain has habits too. And it's how you respond to certain things, right? So when you have someone slam a door on your face or tell you no, you're building a habit, a callus in your brain where it doesn't affect you. And the more you can overcome it when you're about to have that story be told to yourself to get to a new thing, you kind of develop that callus and that habit. And then the next time it comes, it's easier and easier. And it kind of goes into the difficulties as well. But I was probably I was at the same company for about 8 years. And I can truly say I didn't really capitalize on the potential I had there. And I can tell myself all the different stories of why I didn't do it. At the end of the day, it was because I didn't focus enough on how I could improve and rested too much on my talent that I already had. Talked about back when I was a kid, how I developed skills and had skill sets that were probably unique, with the ability to talk to people and care. But the next level of kind of growth for me was developing that ability to start writing it down and actually breaking down what I actually do, right? What's my tonality? What's my approach? What am I trying to do when I talk to a customer and I'm breaking down preoccupation and I'm trying to build value and I'm trying to gain trust and build a relationship? And it was no longer, reps would go out with me and they'd be like, I want to learn from you. You do so well. And they'd leave just confused, right? It was like I went to an event and they're like, hey, it's really cool to do, 100% of your income through one person, which is you. It's another level to do 100% of your income through 100 people. And you can't do that without developing skills and systems that are repeatable, right? That can be, repeatable through time and through processes and systems. So that was kind of my evolution. And I learned a lot of I'm that kid that would, he'd have to break his own arm to realize your arm breaks. And so I'm still in that journey. And that's what's cool. I'm doing this, we're on this call and we're talking about all these different things. I'm not a finished product, right? My book's not done. And there's a lot of cool things I'm still learning through the process. And each one of my, ventures I take on, it's kind of taught me a new concept. And that's kind of the goal is to every single thing you do, you look back, you evaluate, and you try to progress in one thing. And so getting to the point where I was starting to replicate or write down these things that I'd learned, and no longer teaching, oh, this is what you say, but this is why you say what you're going to say. Because Kyle, you and I are very different. I might go into a room and present something massively different. We might have the same effectiveness on what we're doing, because we hit the same key points on how to build value, how to build trust, and it's really teaching those concepts rather than, you're not going to be me. You're not going to have a smirky smile, or you're not going to have this, that, and the other. But there's things that we're going to do that are very similar, right? So, yeah, I would say it took me about 8 to 9 years. So anybody listening that's been discouraged because they've been doing something for a year or two, you might need to go a decade, right? Or two to really start learning your lessons. There's no like perfect timeline or, there's no perfect agenda in your life on when you're supposed to learn things. Our only hope is that we can learn from others' mistakes. And if you have to learn by your own, then learn by your own, but make sure you are learning, right? And make sure you're evaluating yourself all the time. We can kind of pause there. I don't know what you want. Do you want me to keep going on anything else? Because I know you want me to get back on track.
It's all good. I mean, we'll continue on the process of the story because the story is incredible, but a lot to unpack for the entrepreneurs and the business owners listening to this right now. If you have not done direct sales, right? If you've gotten through your business through referrals and friends and a networking structure that didn't make you go and do the hard close of a sale, if you start this tomorrow, your business will 10x. You will be in a position where you'll actually be able to directly influence the growth of your own business instead of hopes and dreams, right? And that's a huge lesson that I love the way that you broke down how you understood that, you learned that, but it became a natural talent, right? And then development of how you got from one person making income to 100 person making income is through SOPs and standard operating procedures, which again, entrepreneurs and business owners, listen to this right now. If you do not have SOPs in your business, you are not running a business. You are an employee to your company. That is the structure behind it. Once you can solidify standard operating procedures that break down why you do what you do, how you do what you do, and then an explanation of further the concept of the results of what you do, how you do it, and how it should be consistent every single time. If you're not doing that in a way that you can write it down and truly understand it, you are simply an employee to the business, not so much an owner. But
Yeah.
your story and your structure of building that understanding is super powerful. So, okay, so you go from a position where you have a natural talent, you have balls of steel because you take a commission job from the get go and you just say, I'm going to make it. I'm either going to make it or I'm not, but it's all going to be on my backbone.
Yeah.
You find success there. You start building an understanding that you need these standard operating procedures. It takes you 8 years to really put this all together. And then how does it come to fruition for RepCard as well as your digital business card that you told me about?
Yeah. So RepCard is a digital business card, but I'll kind of go back a little bit here. And it's important I share the story because I want to talk about a couple key points that were part of my journey that taught me different lessons. And I kind of go back to, my mission, for purposes of this is that, if people aren't aware of LDS missions, you leave your family, especially now they don't do it. It's funny. The culture's changed. Like now you can call your family all the time. But back when I went on a mission, I talked to my family 4 times in 2 years. So no connection. You're on a strict schedule, waking up at 6:30 every morning, going to bed at 8:30. There's no physical contact with the opposite sex. Like there's a lot of sacrifices you're making, right? And a lot of people come back from their missions and they have all these spiritual experiences. And I did have some. But really what I learned was, and that was kind of my first key, like if I had these blocks and I was building who I was perspective of time, right? And the perspective of time is really important. Nothing lasts forever, right? And I think when we're going through struggles, it's really hard to not get out of that moment where it's like, this is my life forever. This is never going to end. How am I going to ever overcome this? And when you sacrifice, when you're 19, all your friends are in college, going to frat parties and stuff, and you're, on a mission sitting there in a white suit and tie, or sorry, white shirt and tie. And, you're sitting in an apartment in Podunk, New York, right? It's like, it's really hard to have the right perspective of time. And it was kind of like this too shall pass, right? And that was a scriptural term to it. But like, whatever I'm going through, it will come to an end. But I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to take advantage of this moment. And opportunity is a word I want to keep bringing up. But I got into door-to-door sales when I got back from my mission. Did really well. I was a top performer at my company and never done it before. Never even researched an alarm system before and went out. And it was just, the skill set that I had learned, to be able to talk to people and communicate with people is what really excelled. But I didn't have the work ethic yet, right? I was a guy that would go get my own and then stop. I would never want to push the envelope too hard. I was also in Hawaii, so lots of distractions. The next year I went to Wyoming, which is massively different than Hawaii. And we had I'm super competitive and we'll talk about it later, but like the idea of, building the perfect rep, competitive nature, like sports, bringing sports into it. I love hiring people that did sports because sales, if you're not competitive in sales, I don't know what you're doing, right? It's the closest thing to be a professional sports player. Because you can put your work, much money where your mouth is every single day and perform. But that being said, it was the end of the year at a competition and there were some errors done on a company app that we had at the time when technology wasn't that good, but it essentially put me in jail, for 45 days. And I gotta remember, let's repeat this. I'm an LDS kid. It's never, messed up on anything. Didn't have a record. I mean, I had like 2 speeding tickets my whole life and I have a car full of my new rookie reps I've taken out and I get pulled over going 7 over. Next thing you know, I'm in handcuffs. Next thing you know, I'm in the back of the cop car. I'm calling my friends, get me out of here. I have no bail, no bond. It was a pretty serious situation. And in that moment, a lot of people would freak out. I did. I'm not going to say I'm iron, I'm a man of iron here and I did never freak out, but the first 2 days were rough. But then again, I kind of thought back again, those calluses I talk about, the mission prepared me, right, to remember that this is going to pass. Right. And I'm going to take advantage of what I'm doing here. And so I started talking to the people that, normally I wouldn't rub shoulders with these people that were in, that were in jail. But you start to get a realization of kind of the mindset these people live in, right? They don't have any opportunity. Most of these people, the most they can look forward to at times is working at, the local taco shop or maybe a janitor, that the kind of the jobs they've had. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, in this time of where I'm at, I have so much gratitude and almost like regret because I didn't take advantage and I did not appreciate and have gratitude for the opportunities that I had. Right. I was in an opportunity before I could make $500,000 in 4 months. Right. 4 months, I can make $500,000. Did I do that? No, because I didn't respect the opportunity enough. And going through this gel experience, I have tons of stories with that. But it really taught me my next key thing was, having respect for the opportunity. right? So having respect first was perspective, then having respect for the opportunity that I'm having. And when I got out of, jail, I came out and I had my best summer ever in door-to-door sales, eclipsed my personal earnings, personal sales, all that kind of stuff right after I'd gotten out of jail. And it was because I had a respect and a gratitude for the opportunity because I knew there's a lot of people out there that I'd rub shoulders with that never have been given the opportunity, right? They just never been given it. So you got to have respect for what you're doing. You got to take it seriously and you got to be grateful for what you're doing because there's a lot of people that don't do it, don't take the challenge, right, upon themselves to do it. But anyway, so kind of going through the process, was at a company for a really long time. Didn't really progress there. I took a leap of faith and I moved to San Diego with my family. Started my own solar dealer. Excelled, eclipsed my personal earnings 2 years in a row. And it was really, really cool experience for me. And I got kind of that burnout stage, and I kind of transitioned into the call center world again. And long story short, it really progressed me step by step and seeing every side of the business. I say this all the time, but I was a setter, I was a closer, I was a team lead, I was a manager, I was a director of sales and a VP of sales. I was, the ops guy, a CRO. I've been all these positions, which has given me that perspective to know kind of what each of those individuals need. And they need vision, they need opportunity, they need to be able to see the end of the light of the tunnel. They got to be able to see the ladder they can climb. And that doesn't always mean vertically, it can mean horizontally as well. But being in all those different positions that I'd been in allowed me to have good perspective in building these systems we're talking about, right? Like you should build a system. I remember one of those humbling experiences I'd ever had. I was working in a call center. We killing it. I mean, we've grown by like 350% in 6 months I'd been there running the call center. And my manager, the CRO called me and he's like, I just want to let you know that no one in here is no one in here is irreplaceable. Like, does that make sense? Like no one here can't be replaced. And at the time I'm like, what? Like my pompous door to door, here I am kind of attitude was like, what do you mean, dude? I don't want to be here anymore if you think that. But it actually rang true to me later. And I actually told him, thank you for that, because what they'd done there is it created a system that no person was greater than the system. Right. And that, at the time it was like a humility thing. And that was actually kind of my next step was like, I need to build a system where it doesn't matter who I have, it's a plug and play, right? I can bring in whoever, plug them into my system, and the machine is the thing working. Because in door to door, it kind of flip flops. You have the reps and the really good reps running the show. And that's why a lot of companies that are starting door to door or sales companies, they kind of fail because they start catering to what these top reps and top individuals need. And it changes their culture. It changes their exceptions. They start, having some sites of nepotism in there, right? They start changing everything they're doing for these one or two people. But it doesn't create a good system for everyone below. And so I learned that valuable lesson, which was really cool. Again, got into more of the door to door again, got my creative sides juicing. I started working for my last company and started working on like swag and started building like t-shirt designs and graphic designs. And I'd always had a kind of a love for that stuff, but I never got the opportunity. So for 2 years, I was building like a brand. And it was really cool. And again, that's the kind of journey you take, right? And then speaking of RepCard, I'd actually developed a really good relationship with the CEO. We used RepCard for a couple of years with the previous company I was with, and developed a really good relationship. And it all started with a relationship. And I liked the product, but I liked the people more. I liked what they stand for. And I could really see almost like that next step in my progression to allow me to kind of come in and actually bring in different perspective of being in the space beforehand. But really RepCard, it offers a one, we talk about these systems, we talk about these, what'd you refer to them as called? You called this up. Standardized system, SOPs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Operating procedures.
Yeah, standard operating procedures. So we talk about that, and what RepCard does is it's a one-stop shop tool for sales reps to be able to stay in their system. Meaning that everything that you would need as a door-to-door guy or a sales rep in general, you're going to have everything from giving someone your digital business card to connection to canvassing to chat, leaderboards, gamification for competitions, calendar, everything that you would ever need as a door-to-door rep is all on our app, and they're all connected to each other. And so it gets complicated going forward when you have all these different apps as a rep, and we're thinking, hey, I gotta get my sell, I gotta get my sell. The last thing I want to think about is 4 different apps that I have to jump back and forth through to get the sell accomplished, right? So that's really the interest and the reason that I came over here is I just really love the product. I love the people. We talk in sales a lot. It's really simple why people don't succeed. It's either A, you have a skill issue or you have a will issue, right? It's one of the two. Meaning A, I don't know it or I don't want to do it. The problem with it is most companies don't have the right KPIs or tracking mechanisms to actually track, is it a skill or will, right? They're kind of guessing. And so what RepCard does is you can reverse, essentially reverse diagnose what makes a good rep. So take your top rep and you put them in RepCard for 30 days. You're going to be able to see, okay, how many conversations, engagements, how many cards is he sending out? What's his sit rate, set rate, close rate, all these different things that you're able to kind of reverse engineer. And so then you can start building systems because you can't build systems if you don't know the data, right? You don't know the data, then there's really no system you can build. And so then you can start building this plug and play. Hey, I know if you do blank, 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 and blank, you will be successful. I'm going to teach it to you because I'm a good sales manager, right? I've done this before. I can do that. The hard part is getting people motivated to do it. And a lot of that actually comes down to accountability. And if I don't give them the right accountability checkpoints, then they're always going to be kind of fluttering. And so RepCard kind of gives the companies the opportunity to reverse engineer what makes a good rep, what makes a bad rep, and put it into KPIs that are trackable, right? So to the very minutia of things.
Dustin, I mean, first of all, let's hit on the story first. Incredible story. I mean, just an outline of a human being that is rigorous, that has ownership, that has a level of just tenacity that is very hard to find, right? To go through the trials and tribulations of going even into jail, as you said, and be able to find gratefulness and happiness and desire to do more coming out of that than going into it shows that as a human being, you are someone that strives above the rest, right? There's a reason there's a 1% in the world, and to be one of those 1%ers, you have to act as if. So entrepreneurs and business owners listening, if you thought your life was hard or difficult to create the business that you have today, you're not alone, right? We've all gone through some trials and tribulations, and Dustin's a great example here of some very tough times that he has used to excel his life to the next level. And then to move into RepCard, I mean, what a beautiful platform. Specifically, I mean, there's a lot of digital business card platforms out there. There's Popple, there's other ones like that, but yours really takes the expertise of that door-to-door sale and that direct individual sale, person-to-person sale, and puts a whole CRM behind it. Not just an opportunity to send a business card, but also to be able to collect that lead, store that lead, organize it in a gamified way, and then have the statistical data, which is, you're 100% right, Dustin. Without data, you don't have a true understanding of how to get better, right? So with data, you're now in a position where you're not losing your leads, your follow-up system's stronger, your team's pushing harder because they're all fighting against each other. You understand what numbers it takes to have a successful sales rep, and you understand what numbers create an unsuccessful sales rep, so you can optimize where you put your time, your effort, and your dollars in the long run. Let's dive in a little bit into kind of RepCard, the role that you play today, and really the big solution that you guys have in the market. So, my question is that you brought up two major pain points with door-to-door sales reps. One being the lack of understanding, and the other being the lack of will to do so. In today's market, I'm assuming a lot of door-to-door sales rep you're bringing in is probably a little bit of the younger generation, 18 to 30-ish, right? That are
It's a
trying to
wide range, but yes, most of them we're targeting that. Yeah.
younger. Okay. When you bring those people in for the first time, do you find that you have an over index of more people that don't understand how to sell, or a more over index of people that just don't have the will to be out there?
I would say it's split 50-50, but it's harder to dissect the will because people give you lip service all day. Anybody that's listening to this that's a sales manager, you get the lip service. Oh, I'm working so hard. I'm doing this. So I would say it has more to do with the will is the harder part, right? Unless you're, some absolute killer motivator, but I always refer to motivation as an energy drink. You drink it, right? You drink the motivation, and then 2 hours later you crash and you forget about it, right? You got to actually develop drive and vision for people to push through it longer. And you do that through accountability, and you celebrate, when people, hit their accountability checkpoints. And when they don't, you don't, you can choose your style and how you want to do it. But if there is no bar, you're never going to hit the bar, right? So the will issue is just more to do with, like, I always refer to it. If you had a job, Kyle, and I hired you to go work at the shopping market to go bag, right, groceries, there's a good chance you're probably going to show up to work on time and leave on time every day, right? That's just a good chance. That's how it works because you're expected to show up at 9 o'clock and your expectation is to work till 5. But for some reason, when you take out that structure and you put them in door to door, where it's like, we ask reps all the time when I was managing door to door reps, it was like, hey, what time are you going to get on the doors and what time are you ending? And the average answer, the most common answer had to do with like, was like, oh, I get on around 1:30 and I get off, maybe around 7:30. And it's like, that's not how it works, right? In the job field, that's not how it works, right? You have to have a schedule. And that's part of the difference of a good rep and a bad rep is like developing a schedule that's actually like a 9 to 5, right? So I'm on the doors at blank. I'm off the doors at blank every single day, like a clock in, clock out, and put a clock in and clock out thing in your car. I don't care, but you have to treat it like so. But building accountability checkpoints where it's just like, hey, these are the minimums you have to do on we talk about controllables and uncontrollables, right? So like controllables meaning like I can control if I'm on time. I can't control if a customer cancels. You just can't. Sometimes they do it, their mom died, whatever it is, like that happens. But you control the controllables by setting up bars and setting up benchmarks that are, just based off controllables that the successful people are doing. And more than likely, the result will be similar to what the successful people are doing because you actually control things you can control. Waking up on time, going to the gym, having your lifestyle right. People talk about that stuff all the time. It's not rocket science, right? It's just very simple things that allow you to just replicate. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do what the guy that's doing it really well, do what he's doing. Interview him, call him, right? Figure it out that way. And you may have asked
Yeah.
another question. I apologize. You
No,
might
no,
have
that's
written.
perfect. No, I mean, honestly, the two parts of that, and you broke it down, like you said, it's about 50-50 of the people that just don't quite have the will or don't quite have the knowledge. But as you broke down those KPIs, those key performance indicators that you identified throughout the process, it's such a huge thing for entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this right now. If you have a team where your goal is to get them to help your business and improve, they have to understand where the end goal is. You can't play a game without understanding how to score. You got to make sure it's a clear
Yeah.
structure. And then when you're not scoring, you should be the person that be able to guide them to be, this is how somebody scores. This is the process behind it. Here's what you need to hit and be very clear with that. And I love the fact that you bring that into motivation because that gives people the vision. It gives them the overall overarching image that they're creating in their mind of what they need to attack. And the one other thing I want to bring up and something that has really helped me over the last 2 years is the book Work Clean that breaks down the ideology of mise en place in people's lives. If you guys haven't heard these concepts before, highly recommend you dive into it. It's mise en place is a French term to put into place, which means how to organize your life by time and by structure so you're as efficient as possible. And this is a lost art. Only Michelin star chefs truly understand how to do this. And if you go through the process of what they do, it's actually insane. And what Dustin's breaking down here is that you need to have a mise en place for your business, even if you're giving the clients freedom, if you're giving your employees freedom to be able to work at their own time. After COVID, we're all experiencing this, right? We all have digital employees now that are not in the office. We don't know their exact clock in and clock out times. How do you get them to get on a regimented structure and keep them motivated and excited and organized to make sure that they hit the goals that you want them to hit? So, I mean, Dustin, you're just hitting amazing points here in the development of it. Let's dive in a little bit to RepCard and kind of who you're working with today and kind of who your ideal client is. Who is
Yeah.
the ideal individual that you guys leverage that is leveraging RepCard right now that's seeing the best benefits? Is it specific business category? Is it all door-to-door sales? Who is really crushing it right now?
Yeah, we kind of have different categories, but starting on a simplistic view, anybody that has a basic business card right now, paper business card, is a client of ours. Anybody that's out there trying to get leads, create contacts, data points, all that kind of stuff is a client of ours. Kind of going on the simplistic, we have a digital business card that allows you to connect with individuals that you're either trying to recruit or trying to land as a client, whatever it is. It's just allowing you to collect that data and then do something with the data, right? It also you have a landing page. A lot of people that start businesses, they build their website. It's kind of okay. We kind of help you and guide you through the process of having a landing page. So when you share that information, you meet someone at the supermarket or the mall or whatever it is, you're able to have them scan or tap or share that information via text. It's going to be a landing page that shows you, your picture. It's very simple, right? Your picture, your name, your title, who you work for. There's video collections. So on the very front, there's videos. You can actually either do a loom where it's like, hey, I'm Dustin. I work for RepCard. This is why I work here. Kind of a, testimonial of yourself. Or it can be about your business. Like, let's say you do a really cool service and you want to share why that service is different. It's a very it's a very intriguing and interesting way to be able to show people what you do instead of just, I got a card and I got a, clip art piece of art on there that I can show this is what I do. It's just a way better, more, it's a more effective way to build the clientele, to build leads, than just the traditional business card. And then kind of jumping, I don't throw any other companies down that do digital business cards. We just have a lot more we offer on the back end, with collecting the data, text campaigns, leaderboards, gamification. When you have sales reps, if you're an individual, obviously we're going to help you out and we're going to replace that old business card or digital business card you're using. The reviews we have, your reviews are on your business card. So all your Facebook, Google reviews are on there. So it gives you trust. What's the hardest part of a building a client? It's trust. That's the hardest part, right? And so we're kind of hitting on these. I always say, Brad and I, the CEO, we're both door-to-door salesmen through heart, right? We did it for years. And so this is a sell tool built by salespeople. We're not just SaaS guys that were, hey, there's a cool idea. Like, no, we're door-to-door grinders that knock doors and we're like, this is a tool that would really help us. I can't take the credit for all that because Brad, he's an originator of this product, but it was enough for me to be intrigued to come over here as well. So yeah, and then as for the door-to-door side, yeah, it's canvassing, it's organization, it's training, it's the ability to get on an app and from start to finish, be able to do it on one app, right? Be able to send my card, go on maps, find someone's customer's information, build a lead from there, send it to a setter to a closer, put it on my calendar, have my leaderboard up there, have competitions running on this platform, be able to chat and send memes and all that kind of stuff to my team. And then we have all the webhooks connections that you could ever think of with, certain CRMs or whatever services you guys use. It allows them to connect to that. So again, it's making it simplified to have one app that's going to do everything for any type of sales rep, whether they're door to door, they're in the auto industry, they're in the real estate industry, they're whatever it is. It's something that's super helpful and useful for any organization that has sales reps that are kind of meandering and they're not getting what they want out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down here in Florida, and the amount of door-to-door salespeople that I see in the solar space, the pest control space, um, any type of home improvement now has been a big thing because the hurricanes. The door-to-door knockers down here and the canvassers that come down here are absolutely insane. And just to think about the usefulness as a marketer, right? So just to take this as 10,000 foot overview as someone who cares about growing a business throughout all efforts, if they have the ability to collect data as door-to-door knockers and funnel that data because it's actually organized into a CRM into all the other efforts that we have, aka our paid advertising outreach, we can enrich that data. All of our retargeting efforts, you can make it so that we exclude all ads to hit the people that your door knockers are hitting. How powerful would that be for actually integrating your door-to-door sales team into what you're doing for the digital and physical advertising of your business because you have the data? So, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Dustin. The power of this is very, very intriguing. I got two more questions for you, and this one is, I think, my highest curiosity. Where does it go in the next 3 to 5 years? I personally, as a guy who was always a digital guru, right? I always thought door-to-door sales, they're gonna die eventually. There's no way you can keep going. Someone's gonna get shot. There's gonna be something crazy that happens.
I've been hearing that for 20 years. So yeah,
Right?
but I'm
Yeah.
with you.
So I don't think it's going anywhere. So my 10 years where I've been saying that, I've been wrong every single time. And the businesses
Yeah.
that do it are extraordinarily successful. So do you see a consistent pattern happening where door-to-door will evolve into using services like yourself, but always be around? Or do you see a different evolution happening within this direct-to-consumer sale or direct-to-individual sale?
I mean, we've already seen so many things with AI and different services that are offered to sales reps. But at the end of the day, the connection between a human to human, face to face, is always the most effective. There's no way better. There's no better way. Even though like clicking on a button on Amazon and buying something is important, there's some services that don't have the validity. Right? You're not getting what you can get out of that if you're not face to face with them. That's why industries like solar, alarms, pests. It's always been more effective, a face-to-face sell. I don't think that's going anywhere. Now, as for our business, I believe in balance, and I think door to door will always, be a big focus that we're focusing on and doing. But man, there's so many cool things that we can do, just with the data and with the kind of the minds that we have here, and we're thinking big. But obviously, getting some of the market share on just the digital business card through the app store is a big focus for us. Breaking into different channels, like anybody that uses a business card, right? Any of those old dogs, like the auto industry, the real estate industry. You think about how many business cards you go to. We actually, one of the big things we do that we don't even try to do, but we do, is events. So all those conferences you go to, You know, you show up, you have a badge, so on and so forth. You're sharing information. We did close to 25 events last year. So anybody that goes to events or has reps, vendors that go to an event, and they're meeting thousands of people, having RepCard with your reps, number one, tracks their, their accountability. So are these guys, if I'm paying money to have these people go to a conference, are they actually working? So I can track that. Number two is I'm getting the data from these customers, right? And I'm able to turn it into something like you said. So there's so many different ways this can go. We actually offer different parts of our business like apparel, the NFC products like tap cards, wristbands, that kind of stuff. Training platforms. We have some of the highest professionals in our industry that have already come in and filmed modules for us on our training platform that if you sign up for RepCard, you get for free. So there's so many different offshoots this can go. But number one is just taking care of people, doing it the right way, building the right relationships. And from there, I trust the fact that if, we give, we're going to get back. And that's kind of the motto of RepCard. Our logo is a boomerang, right? Call it karma, right? You get what you get what you give. And whatever you put out in the world, you're going to get back. And so that culture has really stuck for us here. And we always do things the right way. If you ever meet anybody that knows Brad, the CEO, they never have anything but good things to say about him. It's rarely about the product, right? And that's kind of the presence you want here is like, oh, the product's cool, but man, Brad is so awesome, right? Dustin's so awesome, right? Travis, hey, they're all so great. And that's kind of the culture we're trying to have here. And whatever we decide to do, like we're going to have minds that put it down, put our head down, and we're going to make it happen. But we're really excited about the future. We've been progressing and growing every single month over month, and door to door will always be a focus. But this tool can be used in anywhere that is being there's salespeople or any individual contractor. I mean, there was a lady that she was selling rocks, right? She found us and she was selling rocks like stones. And she's like, man, this is what I do. And our business revolutionized her process. So there's so many different ways this can be impactful on businesses. So yeah, really excited about it.
Yeah, for entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody in this category who is honestly, and me personally, I had Popple for a while. I'll be signing up for RepCard to have it for myself as I go and I travel in 2025 and do a lot of events. So I'm excited to leverage it. For anybody out there that's in this space that understands the value of owning the data of your door-to-door salespeople, of organizing this process, of understanding how to collect the data better and leverage it in every way, shape, and form for not just the betterment of your business, for a better understanding of how to be successful, you got to connect with Dustin and the RepCard team. Dustin, if they want to connect with you, how would they find you?
Yeah, I will actually share my RepCard information with you, but you go to repcard.com/Dustin Mack. You can also go to just repcard.com. My phone number, everything, all my information's on my RepCard. So if I'm going to share my business card theory here, I'm going to give you guys my business card as well, and I can do that digitally. So
I love that. All that information is going to be below in the description. Just click the link, connect with Dustin and his team here at RepCard. They're doing extraordinary things, and I believe truly evolutionizing overall door-to-door and direct-to-consumer sales structuring, which is needed in 2025 and beyond. Make sure you guys understand, as business owners and entrepreneurs, the biggest open market, the biggest blue ocean for advertising success is where your competitors are not living. And if your competitors aren't doing door-to-door sales and the opportunity is there for you, connect with RepCard, get yourself organized, and get yourself out to the market. Stop being scared to talk to your customers face to face and control the growth of your company. Dustin, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. For the listeners out there, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.